The time is now 5:01. I call to order the June 14th, 2022 Policy and Governance Committee meeting. Good evening. Thank everyone for being here. I am Judy Mickens Murray, Chair of the Policy and Governance Committee and an at-large board member. We will now have introductions of committee members, starting with board members, administrative staff, guests, and board office staff. Alvaro, can we start with you?
Hello, everyone. My name is Alvaro Cerrone Rees, and I'm a student member of the Board of Education and a member of the Policy and Governance Committee.
Ms. Boozer Struthers.
Hi, Pamela Boozer Struther, Vice Chair of the Policy and Governance Committee and District 3 Board of Education member.
And Ms. Sonia Williams.
Good afternoon. I'm Sonia Williams, the representative for District 9 and the Vice Chair of the Board.
Ms. Robin Welsh.
Good afternoon. I'm Robin Welsh, the Director of Compliance and Ethics.
Okay, and Ms. Valerie Irvin.
Good evening, Valerie Irvin here, Board Liaison to the Administration.
And our able assistant, Ms. Ellis.
Anise Ellis, Board Assistant. Good evening.
Thank you, guys. 1.3, may I have a motion to approve June 14, 2022 meeting agenda as amended on board docs?
I'm sorry, there's no amendment. You can leave that out.
Okay, I will change the statement. May I have a motion to approve the June 14, 2022 meeting agenda on board docs?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the June 14th agenda has been approved. All in favor? Aye.
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 The motion passes. 1.4, approval of committee minutes, May 17th, 2022 meeting. May I have a motion to approve the May 17th, 2022 meeting minutes?
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the May 17th 17 meeting minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It has been moved, motion passes. Thank you. Was there any public comment? Ms. Ellis?
There's no public comment.
Thank you. We will move to 3.0, policies to review for action. Review proposed work plan for school year 2022 and 2023. Ms. Welch, would you lead the discussion on the proposed work plan for the next school year? I will open the floor for discussion. Go ahead.
Good evening. Dr. Golson provided her recommendations for what policies she thinks the Policy and Governance Committee should address for the upcoming school year, for the 2023 school year. There are on her list, if you look at 9340, where it breaks it out so that you have policies that require or are recommended for revision, policies that have been reviewed but they're not recommended for revisions, or 3 is administrative procedures that require revisions, and 4, policies should be created to align with existing administrative procedures. She actually provides the information under each of those components. The only area that we review a lot of policies all the time, so the component 2 is not there, but we do have component 1, 3, and 4 that provides the information for you. And what the changes, so there's the very same policies that we had from last year, because we did not get through all the policies that were on her list. So those are repeat policies that we're going to look at. But in addition to those and we did get a good number of policies off the list. So that was a positive thing for this upcoming year. But in addition to the remaining policies that were there from the following year, there are policies related to appointment of personnel, I'll just list them very quickly. Appointment of personnel, employee and 4205 appeals before the Board of Education. Title IX, grading and reporting for elementary, secondary students, test security and data reporting, and tuition waivers for summer school. So those are all policies that she had included for component 1 that need revisions. And then on top of that, because we have had policies that other policies that are recommended for revision that were previously there, we have also added Board of Education standing committees and focus work groups, meetings of the Board of Ed, which is your which is 8100. No, excuse me. The first one is 8100, and meetings of the board is 9360. And then naming of school facilities, dedicating areas of school districts, facilities or grounds, and erecting monuments 3500. Those are all additional ones that have been included. As far as rescinding policies, the only one that we didn't get rescinded this past year, and that's because we were waiting for the ethics regulation policy to go through approval, is the policy on school official financial disclosures. And that one is on for recession for next year, only because once the ethics one is totally approved, it actually lays out in great detail about the financial disclosure form. So it would be repetitive to have a separate policy that just addresses financial disclosure forms. And then we did also include the policies that have been from this current legislative session that has to do with pedestrian safety plans, student attendance, excused absence, whistleblower protections related to civil actions. Those were 3 from this current legislative session. And we went back, and when Mr. Tobias was on the Policy and Governance Committee, and she also did the legislative work, she had recommended from the 2018 legislative session that student sunscreen use should have been a policy that was required by law. And then from the 2017 legislative session, Heroin and Opioid Education and Community Action Act of 2017, which required a policy. So we put those on the list for policies also, just because by law we're required to have those policies. So those are basically, when you look at the main, the things that were changed, these are the actual policies. We do have one remaining policy from this current year that had to do with the 2021 legislative session, which we're working on right now, is the school district energy use policy. So that would be one of the first ones that would come up, I would assume, once you put your schedule together, because that's one we are currently working on to have it ready for the beginning of the school year to address. And then as far as our component 4, which has to do with policies that should be created to align with existing administrative procedures, there were no changes to that. The ones that she had recommended last year, we hadn't addressed, so they are still on the list to be looked at for this year. So it's a hefty list of policies, but we did do a fairly good job this past year getting through policies. So hopefully we can get through a good number of policies this upcoming school year.
Okay. Any comment? Are you done, Ms. Welsh?
I am.
Any comments from any board members? Yes, ma'am, Ms. Williams.
I couldn't find my
That's okay.
my
I
hand
saw your
raised
name.
thing quick enough. But on this list, these are all the ones from Dr. Golson. There are some that I thought we were discussing as a board. I don't have that list. You know, I haven't been keeping a list, but I thought that there were some that we may want to add to this also. And the other part is the board handbook. Does that fall under policy and governance, the revision to that?
I
Who are you
actually,
asking?
I was gonna say, because I don't know.
But you know, we have to update that policy and take it all the way to completion. And so I would assume that it would fall under policy and governance, you know.
Yeah, the only comment that I will offer, because I truly don't know, but my plan is to do some research so that we as a board will have answers to all of that. So, so that's my goal. And Ms. Welsh, I will probably start with you or someone in your office. And then when our attorneys get on board, I will include, hopefully with the approval of the chair and the vice chair, someone from our legal side. And it's more to have an alliance with what the policy should be from the board's perspective through the AP, the administrative. Not that we write it, but to understand what's in it. Okay, so that's what I'm thinking. Now, if
Yeah,
I'm flawed in my thinking, anybody can add what they want to and encourage me to go a different direction or to do
No.
something.
I was just thinking that this is a heavy lift, I think. And I think that we can accomplish it if we, plan it properly. I think we
And
can
I agree.
accomplish all of this. And so I was asking about the other policies, which again, I didn't keep track of a list, but I know that we come across them all the time and we say, oh, we need to update this. So
Yeah, well,
I'm
I have
thinking
it
that
in a
would be
book.
the addition.
Yeah, Board Member Williams, I have it in a book somewhere because I do know that all of the policies that deal with our board office, at least we had talked about relooking at some of those, and I think Vice Chair Boozer Struthers had one that she really wanted us to take a look at. So I'm sure, Ms. Welch, and correct me if I'm wrong, we can add to this list. It's just
Yeah.
a matter of when we plan to address them,
Yeah,
then we put it in the mix. Am I
Yeah.
correct?
Absolutely. You're absolutely correct.
and so
Okay, so
this is our opportunity to
I agree.
sort of work through that work plan. That's why I wanted to bring it back to the forefront. And I mean, we may want to consider just doing a separate committee focused on the handbook, and then they report back to this committee, and then we report up to the board. I mean, it's up to you, and I guess it's up to us to figure out how we want to best handle it. But I know the last time when we did the update, it was when I first got on the board, but it appears that cycle of work was not fully completed. So
Right.
there is always some confusion, and I think that we should try to, work through that. So
And I'm in agreement with you. Any other comments from any other board members
Nope.
about aligning our policies? Ms. Boozer Struthers, I see your hand.
I just want to thank Board Member Williams for raising that that we probably should take a closer look at all those board policies. And I did want to note that policy 8100 is probably what,
Thank you.
Care that you were thinking about, and it is listed. So I know that one is important. Thank you.
Okay, I appreciate that. So what we will do while I'm supposed to be taking a break this summer, I will dedicate some time and I will bring it up with my colleagues. And I like the idea of having an additional committee to do some of this work. But what that looks like, I don't know right now. And how to make that happen, then that's a discussion with the full board to determine how we do that, okay? So I've made a note of it and I will raise it with my colleagues. Any other comments about the list? It seems a lot on this list, an all-inclusive list. Ms. Welch, how do you guys determine what you do first? You just sit in a room and throw them in a hat and pull them out?
So if I recall, this is to remember that I had started probably last spring and we still had Mr. Cooper, and he actually took all the board's policies as well as the policies Dr. Golson recommended and put them all together on a list. And he asked us to give feedback. I can remember because Erica White was still working and the two of us went through the policies. And we actually identified ones that we thought from a legal perspective were really critical and had to get taken care of. And so we would say, I think these need to go further up in the year. And eventually back and forth, we came up with a mixture of both what the board had recommended and what the CEO had recommended.
Okay, but there is a process that you guys have, let's say within the okay. Miss Valerie Irvin, yeah. Are you on mute?
Thank you very much. I just wanted to follow up on that question because what Robin and I, and in some degree Sally, are doing is triaging that list and trying to find the most important elements of the list that Dr. Goldson, of course, we're going to have to take hers first because she is the CEO and she's made the recommendations. But we also have in the legislative session a lot of the bills that were passed into law. We have looked at those bills and we're looking at the ones that need policy changes. I think Robin just reported on those, and ones that we will have to make changes to APs. So we're going to take those up in the list too. So there's a lot of work to be done. And when I make my legislative report, you'll hear how many bills have been passed this year and how many of those bills are going to impact the PGCPS. So we're working on that too, as far as the aftermath of the 90-day session. The real work starts now because we have to be in compliance with all these new state laws and with MSDE regulations.
Okay, so maybe you and I can get together after I talk to my colleagues so that I can at least put a list together that you guys need to at least be looking at the same time. That's unique to the board office, okay? Because we have some requirements that may have a degree of urgency, but you and I will talk about that, okay? All right, any more comments from anyone? Well, Mrs. Welch, thank you so much. That's very good. Thank you, guys. 4.0. So do we have to vote on this plan? Am I supposed to do that? Are we supposed to vote on the plan or do we wait?
I
Anybody?
think we need some dates associated with that so that we can lay it
Okay.
out for the year. So these are just the ones that
Okay.
we're going to try to, and then when we compare them to the dates that we have our meetings, we can try to put like 5 on, 3 on, 2 on till we get through as many as we
Okay, that's fine. So that's part of the conversation that Ms. Irvin and I will have. Thank you, guys. Okay, appreciate that. 4.0, new revised policies for discussion. 4.1, review public comments, revised draft policy 3323. Ms. Welch, would you give us a summary of the public comments received thus far?
So we actually haven't, I don't think we have received any public comments at this point because they just got posted on Thursday, June 9th. And they'll have, or I guess probably June 10th, probably last Friday. So they won't be, the 2-week period doesn't end until June 24th, which is actually after your last board meeting for the year. So I think the important piece here is that once those public comments come in, it's going to be crucial for this committee to review those comments. And based on the comments, if there's any changes that need to be made to the policy, then you will be able to, make those changes and then make a recommendation to the board to send it to the board for the August meeting for to approve it, and take your recommendation. I know it did go to first reader this past in the June 9th meeting also, but the critical piece in all this will be gathering all those, public comments, reviewing them and seeing if there's any changes that we need to make to the policy, and then bringing it back to the full board. Once you have voted on it, you're in agreement, and then voting on it and giving a recommendation to the board that you really want them to approve it. So that second reader then will be the step that will approve anything incorporated into it by the public comments.
Okay, so it's going for first reader. So do you think we need another meeting because the board goes on a 6-week break starting the 23rd? So do we need to come up with a date where we could have a virtual with all of us? Let's say maybe before July or first week of July? Do we need to have a tentative date?
You will need one more committee meeting once the comments are in to review them and then make a recommendation.
Okay, so it just went for first reader. We're looking at the comments that's coming back from first reader. Oh.
The comments that are coming back from the fact that it's going out for public comment. So I think the first reader, that step was just to take it through the process so that it'll be ready by August 18th. But the critical step will be when you all meet, make decisions about the policy and vote on it, and then move it forward to the board for a second reader, because that will incorporate any of those public comments.
Yeah, I think Vice Chair Boozer Struthers is trying to help me. I see your hand. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand as well. So, but the first reader, do we need to create another board meeting to have second reader and adoption at the August meeting, our first meeting of the new school year?
You mean, does this policy committee need to meet before that board meeting?
I'm asking for a full board meeting because policy 8100 also has, because we haven't revised it, it also requires that we meet in July for committee membership. And so we still have that issue as well to deal with around committee membership. So.
Oh, so 8100, there's a requirement in that policy that the board meet in July, but the board will be on break.
Right.
This July, from what I understand. So we need to change that policy is what you're saying.
We do, but I also want to say that the term of the appointments start on July 1st. So I also see a conflict within it. It also has a conflict in itself. So we could also do this at the board meeting on June 23rd.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, that we should ask if there are any committee, well, we do need to codify the committee for OBAFA, because right now the vice chair is running that committee. And academic achievement, we're okay, because that's the committee chair. Maybe we can ask over the next couple of weeks, ask the board members, board members if anyone wants to step down from committee leadership, and if anyone wants to, maybe we can put that question out there this week. So when we come back to our meeting on the 23rd, we can make a determination if there are any changes.
Okay.
Instead of having a meeting in advance.
So who does this this ask come from? The chair?
The chair, Dr. Miller, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So do I need to send Dr. Miller an email asking her to do that?
Yeah.
All right, I will do that after this meeting. I will send the chair an email. Is there anything else we need to, Pam, is your hand still up? I was just board member, is your hand still up?
Yes, I just wanted to note that I agree with the suggestion that the chair handle this process, even though the policy has stripped the chair of that duty. So we are managing a lot in policy 8100. So I just wanted to point that out, that I agree with that pathway. Thank you.
Okay, so you agree with me asking the chair, but you don't believe the chair has the authority by the way the policy is written?
That's the problem with policy 8100.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll pull that tomorrow. I will pull that policy tomorrow to look at it, 8100. Ms. Irvin, is it okay if I call you sometime tomorrow about 8100?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. Seems like there's some urgency with that. All right, but I will still send the email to the chair. Are we in agreement with that?
Yeah, I just, the ask has to come from somewhere.
I get it.
It's not clear who initiates that, but that's the responsibility of the chair to make sure that this work is facilitated. So.
Okay, I will send the email, and Ms. Irvin and I will put our heads together tomorrow. Ms. Irvin, do you have a time if you look at your calendar? Mine is open for tomorrow.
Give me 1 second to check.
Okay.
I'm available most of the morning till about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Can you
Okay,
do?
can we say 11?
Sure.
Okay, 11 a.m. And I will call you unless you want to do a Google Meet. You want to do a Google Meet?
Yeah, let's do it. I'll send you an invite.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, so I think I have the action for 4.1. And with
but-
3323, okay, we're gonna revisit it on the 23rd board meeting, but we need to talk before then, right? If there are comments.
So,
Well,
yes, board member Murray. So to bring it up on the June 23rd, policy 3323 is actually in violation of 9340 because 9340 says you have to give it 2 full weeks, and that won't be until June 24th. So that means that what I think we're looking at is one more committee meeting at some point prior to the August meeting, where you've had the opportunity to review the public comments and make any recommendations for changes, and then vote on the policy and move it forward to the board for second reader.
okay, and our August meeting, and I'm looking at a list here that says we're proposing August 23rd. No, we're not. I have the wrong list. Throw that away.
First board meeting.
No, I'm talking about our policy and governance meeting. I'm talking about the policy and governance meeting. Is that the 23rd?
Yes,
Bob?
okay, that's correct.
You basically,
that's
as the
still-
chair, as the chair, you basically can set that schedule. Unfortunately, you came in under another committee chair's schedule, but the
Oh.
committee chair sets the schedule.
Oh, so, but everybody likes Tuesdays, right? I like Tuesdays. We like
Fine with
Tuesdays.
me?
Fine with me too. Okay. So maybe I should get with Anise. You and I should look at this again, please. With the date, because the date at issue right now is the board meeting is when in August? When is that board meeting?
18th, August 18th is the first meeting of the board.
August 18th. So I need to meet before August 18th, right? With this committee.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's the first thing. Okay, so we need to meet before August 18th. Anise, I will, I know you have a lot going. So why don't you call me when you get a moment tomorrow?
And board member Mickens Murray,
Yes.
I'm wondering, it's just wondering if at that meeting where we are actually addressing 3323 in the public comments, if that would be a time when, and I don't know if you'd have this prepared, but once you had all the rest of the policies you want to add to the group, that we could use that meeting to finalize a policy schedule for the following school year, and then you all could vote on it. So that way, when you have your first real meeting of the year, you'd be ready to go because you would know what policies that you were going to be addressing.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna try to do. That's why I'm gonna meet with Ms. Irvin tomorrow.
Okay,
So
that's
that,
good.
so that I can get a process in my head. And if she and I can reach an agreement, then she can communicate to you guys, I can communicate to the board members. Okay, sounds like a plan? Good, okay. All right, so Ms. Irvin, if we start out at 11 o'clock tomorrow. Ms. Ellis, if you could plan to just give me a call when you get a moment, maybe in the afternoon tomorrow. That would be helpful, okay? Okay, thank you. All right. Okay, so that's and that. I'm sorry, guys, that's my niece from North Carolina. I'll have to call her back. Okay. 5.0, we're moving right along here. So we're not taking a motion today because I don't have anything to take a motion on, because I don't have any date set. So when I finalize something, I will send you all an email, okay? And if we need to meet quickly, or Ms. Ellis will help me not to violate any open meetings requirements, I will let you know. All right, 5.0 legislative update. May Legislative Committee, Ms. Irvin, would you give
Yes.
us an overview of the May 2022 legislative session summary?
Thank you. This will be a very short and condensed report. Much of what I will say to the committee they've heard before, but this is in a condensed version. The 2022 legislative session saw the introduction of 1,487 House bills and 1,011 Senate bills, for a total of 3,114 bills. Our top priorities for the 2022 legislative session include support for full state funding for Maryland's outstanding public schools. In the FY 2023 state budget, support for public schools will exceed $7.9 billion. Direct aid to local school systems will increase by an estimated $455.6 million, or 6.7%, including full funding of all FY 2023 blueprint mandates. The budget plan allocates $800 million of FY 2023 revenues to the Blueprint for Maryland's Future Fund to cover the out-of-year costs of blueprint implementation. Support for increased state funding for school construction and renovation projects authorizes the creation of a state debt and allocates current funds to finance the building, construction, demolition, planning, renovation, conversion, replacement, and capital equipment purchases of the state for acquiring certain real estate. Support for sustained and increased local government investments in education. The new reforms to state law ensure local funding increases above maintenance of effort by including a local funding share for students in pre-kindergarten, special education, the economically disadvantaged, and English learner state funding categories. However, this new approach was not fully in place for FY 2023, and the legislature and county governments agreed to hold school systems harmless by ensuring the higher of the current or prior year's maintenance of effort amount and the new local share calculation. Some of the 2022 session highlights include an historic legislative session that featured many major education funding and policy issues. The state budget includes record spending for school construction projects across the state to not only build new schools, but also improve the environmental health within existing schools. Cybersecurity was the focus of 3 new laws. New laws will also govern school system procurement of education technology to ensure all platforms and instructional materials are accessible to students with disabilities, and imposed much stricter requirements and reporting for the use of restraints and seclusion of students as behavioral interventions. And finally, on May 27th, the governor vetoed the 2 virtual school bills and several other state and local education bills. And as I said earlier, Robin Welsh and I are working together to create a Google Doc form, which will, we were requested to do so by the CEO so that we can monitor every single one of these education bills that impact PGCPS. And we will be reporting to this committee as soon as we are done with this massive effort, by the way, to create this document so that Robin can make sure that all of the chiefs and their staffs are in compliance, and that we are following the bills to the best of our ability. And so we will be reporting that back to this committee. And that's all I have. That's my entire report.
Thank you. Any comments from board members? Questions? Okay, the only question that I have 2. Did we
We have
send
one
Oh,
question.
there's a hand up, Miss Vice Chair Boozer Struthers.
I just wanted to once again thank and compliment Ms. Irvin on the work on behalf of PGCPS this session. I thought it went really well, and we were really well informed throughout the entire session, and were able to respond quickly and get some good work done with our own positions on bills. And I look forward to an even smoother, process next year, that now that we've all gone through a cycle together this year. So just once again, thank you.
I appreciate those sentiments, and they are mine as well. My question was, Ms. Irvin, did we thank our legislators on behalf of Prince George's County for all the support for these new bills? Did we say anything officially? I mean,
No, not officially, but if that's the will of the body, whether that be from you as chair of the Policy and Governance Committee or from Dr. Miller on behalf of the entire board, I think that would be something that we should definitely do.
okay, I will include that in my request to the chair that we do that, because I'm extremely pleased, and I think that we should let our legislators know that we appreciate the effort that they gave us and the rest of the districts in the state of Maryland. Next, Vice Chair Boozer Struthers, do you have any updates for us from the blueprint?
I do, just to let everyone know that the ad hoc committee that I sit on with May meets again next week on Thursday, the 16th, and we will have an opportunity to have a presentation and discussion with Ike Leggett, who is the chair of the accountability board for the blueprint. So I have coordinated with our PGCPS team on the blueprint to ensure that I have questions to bring to that meeting next week. So I'll look forward to reporting out next time we meet.
Okay, well, thank you. Any questions of Vice Chair Boozer Struthers from any board members? No? Okay. Moving right along. 6.0, follow-up and next steps. Follow-up from previous meetings will be posted on board docs upon receipt. The committee will forward the following draft policy 3323 bids to the full board as second reader at the August 18, 2022 board meeting. This is our last policy. I don't need to vote on that, do I? No, okay. This is our last policy and governance committee meeting of this school year. Please continue to check the board page on the PGCPS website for more information. My closing comments in 7.8 is I want to give my appreciation to everybody on this committee for helping to educate me, and you can tell I'm still in that education process, to learn how to pull together these policies and then to gain an appreciation for the effort that the CEO staff is putting into that. So as we move forward, anything that I can do to mitigate all of your efforts, let me know, and I will do the best I can to do that. But I am especially appreciative to Ms. Irvin and Ms. Welsh. You guys have been a joy, to tell you the truth, because a couple of meetings, I didn't have to do anything, and you guys just made it happen. And Ms. Ellis, you are the person, you're the glue that pulls it all together. So thank you on behalf of this committee. I appreciate that. To my committee members, I hope you guys, now, this is a question. Are you automatically signed up for next year? Do I need to call you independently and request that
We'll be here with you. I'll be here with you.
What about you, Alvaro, since you just got reelected? Give you some shout
I'm
out.
definitely going to be here.
Okay, good. Then I appreciate that. So with that said, do any of you have any comments for our last meeting before I request a motion to adjourn? Yes, Ms. Irving.
As I was saying earlier to Ms. Mickens-Murray, I staff all the committees, and this is the one I enjoy staffing the most. So I hope you all have a great summer. We have one more meeting, right? So after that, have a great summer.
Thank you, and we wish you the same. So may I have a motion to adjourn?
Second,
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Everyone.
And good night. Bye-bye.